Now, okay, I pressed record. Thank you for that reminder, Harshi. I appreciate it. Okay, so this is a snapshot of our agenda for 90 minutes today. So the first about 30 minutes will um, go over the monitoring, evaluation, and reporting team roles. Reintroducing ourselves. I know many of you have attended the CBO general orientation, and we're going to go over some big picture things before we go over the steps and the actual instructions of submitting a report on Smartsheet and how to use Smartsheet also for collecting participant level data. So we're really the first 25 minutes, we're going to go over big picture things about what is Smartsheet, what are the two main uses for it, and what are the types of progress report submissions. And then a bulk of our time will be devoted to going over the instructions. Well, I'll have the Smartsheet reporting portal open, so you'll see exactly what you will be seeing when submitting your reports. And then we'll also go over how to use Smartsheet for inputting participant individual level data on this same portal as well. And then the last about half hour we'll devote to questions and answers. We're expecting, I know, a lot of questions about this process, and then we have announcements in upcoming meetings. So again, for this first part, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Dr. Marta Anduni, who is our Division Director for the Monitoring, Evaluation, and Reporting team.
Morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I look forward to this particular webinar. Debbie has done an amazing job in putting it together. And so let me introduce the team. I am the division director and have been with PHI for a long time, with the Center for Immigrant Refugee Health. Like most of us, we're all kind of new. I've been here about 6 months now. Our advisory group associate is Sarah Lackey, and Sarah will introduce you to some of her work in the next few slides. But she is our guru right now, putting together our conference that you'll also hear about soon. Debbie Disagun, as I mentioned, she's our research associate 3 and has been an instrumental part in getting our Smartsheet up and running. And then also, last but not least, is Harshi Nirala. She has been also very helpful in getting our Smartsheet details up and running, and she's our research associate 1. Yeah, so this is our stellar team. Thank you. Also, to let you know, and this is where we'll talk about a little bit more detail, and if you've been in a previous webinar, you'll also have heard about this. Sarah is very instrumental in putting together our Communities of Practice Advisory Group. This group meets quarterly where there will be, or there have been special presentations, very relevant, germane to the work that we're doing here, doing a lot of capacity building for our partners. And now that we've got a lot more partners, this will be a really great time to share best practices, share resources. Also, we will be putting on office hours every month where people can come, just drop in, listen to other people's questions or come with your own questions. If you happen to send those in advance, if they're complicated questions, that will be helpful to all. But either way, we will get you the answers to questions you have. And then, much like today, Debbie is going to be the lead for our technical assistance on our reporting, on Smartsheet, on those details and nuances of what we're asking of you. And please, just a side note, everything we're asking of you is because we're required to report back to our funders. So while this may seem a little bit detailed, really we're trying to satisfy our funders, and we are here to help and support you in getting this data that we'll be asking of you. So I believe we've got one more slide.
Yeah, I'm trying to move it over. Oh, there you go.
All right. And then just for any questions you might have, please reach out. We have our own special email, MER, which is Monitoring, Evaluation, and Reporting. And we strive to answer your questions as soon as possible. So please keep that in your back pocket. And I'm going to turn it back over to you, Debbie. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Dr. Marta. Yes, and we will be providing again the recording of this training along with the slides afterwards. So don't want anyone to be rushing with like virtual or like handwritten note taking. So we'll provide all of these tools afterwards. And we recognize we're going to be kind of throwing and pouring a lot of information about data and reporting to you all today, but rest assured you're not going to be alone in this process, as Dr. Marta has shared. So specifically for reporting guidance, I wanted to share that, we have a toolbox. You can call it like your lifelines for reporting to us. So definitely one, you're going to have the training recording afterwards. Second, we're going to go over there's a few progress report planning and preparation forms and templates that'll help you and your team track and monitor and take tabs of the data before it's entered into Smartsheet. So there's going to be a lot of roadmaps and checklists that is optional for you to use to help you prepare for the data. The third is also Dr. Marta has shared is that we'll have monthly office hours. So you can drop in and ask any questions, or you can just sit in and listen in to other folks' questions. So that's another way if you have any reporting issues or concerns or questions. And then, of course, call us anytime. We're very friendly and accessible. You have our email, our telephone, number. We can hop on a Zoom if you need to troubleshoot anything on the portal. And I know for those of you who have fully executed contracts already, some of you have contacted me to help you with that. That's always going to be ongoing, and we're here to help and support you in this process. Okay, so what is Smartsheet? I wanted to just start off with that because I know there was a lot of questions about this during the orientation last month, and I just wanted to check in, maybe show of hands, or on the chat box. Are any of the organizations here already using a Smartsheet? Just curious. And if I don't hear anything, I'm going to assume that's a no. Okay, so I see a yes. Okay, wonderful. Two yeses. Yeah, so for those of you who are not familiar with Smartsheet, it's basically a cloud-based online software program. You can think of it as like a kind of a data management platform. You'll see different versions of it when we open it up today for the instructions. So, but there's many uh, features on it that you can use for reporting, for data entry. It almost just looks like a cloud-based, Excel file. For reporting and for data participant collection, it's going to be accessible to you with a link, and we will provide this link after today's training. So I'm going to go over the two main uses of Smartsheet for you, the sub-grantees. And the first one is for progress report submissions. And there's two types of progress report submissions. There's a semi-annual progress report, which we call like the long report, and your invoices. And then you're also going to use it for your quarterly progress report and invoices. And the quarterly progress reports are just shorter. And we'll go over this much slowly. But just wanted to point out that the semi-annual progress report includes total summary numbers, and also there'll be open-ended questions. And also we'll need the summary report for participant assessment questionnaire. We'll go through all of this, but I wanted to give you guys a big picture. For the quarterly progress report, which is shorter, it's mainly going to be numbers. This is a sneak peek of the Smartsheet reporting portal. And I'll actually open this up live, but I just wanted to give you a view of it right now. So it almost looks like an application. You'll be inputting numbers and data into fields. The second use for Smartsheet for you, the sub-grantees, is for participant data collection. So this is going to be also used for storing individual level demographic and programmatic data. It's to be accessed and overseen by you guys. No one should have access to that, but you should be able to grant us and our CDSS access to this sheet in the event of a request to see the data or in the event of an audit. And we'll go through this very slowly, but wanted to give you the big picture. This is, again, the sneak peek. Again, it looks like an Excel sheet, but this is a Smartsheet form where you will be entering the individual level data per participant, whether they're a student, a family member participant, or a staff member who's participated in service provider capacity types of activities. So I just wanted to give you a sneak peek. Those are the two main purposes that the sub-grantees will be using Smartsheet for. And here it again is as a summary, so you see it as side by side. So again, the requirement for Smartsheet for the report submissions, that's going to be accessible via link. There's no login or password for it. So when we provide you the link shortly after today's training, you could go ahead and click on it, play around with it, just get a feel for it. So there's no login or password for report submissions, and that's accessible, year round. Whereas the Smartsheet link that you'll be using to enter in your participant data, because of the highly sensitive information that will be entered in that specific platform, there will definitely be a login and password for the authorized users for that. And we will provide all that information once you have a fully executed contract. There'll be steps on how to access that and so forth, and how to navigate that particular Smartsheet portal. So on the left, I just kind of repasted the requirements for Smartsheet, where again, we're using that for report submissions, semi-annual and quarterly reports, and also for your participant data. But if your organization has other types of data management systems, we ask that they are confidential and very secure types of systems, and that's okay. So it could be that you're using Salesforce for case management notes, or another type of software, or you might have physical case files for your participants for note taking, or a binder to place other types of documents. That's fine, but we ask um, that these are also that these systems are secure, meaning that they're kept in any type of physical type of profile information on the participant be kept in a locked storage. Any types of online software must have a strong password, limited user access. Participant data should have anonymous identifiers, and a data backup plan for all these extra systems that you may be using. And we only highlight this because of all the sensitive information that you'll be collecting on those participants. So we're still in part A. We've gone over the big picture uses for Smartsheet. I wanted to hone in here on the two types of progress report submissions. Again, we have a long report, and then we have like a short report. And for the long report, it includes both numbers and open-ended questions. And there's going to be two links for that. One for kind of the main report about participant numbers, and questions about progress and accomplishments and success stories. And then the other link will be a form to enter in the total sums from the participant assessment form. And we'll talk about that later. The quarterly progress report is shorter. It's like actually a subset. It's a slice of the semi-annual report. So it includes mainly quantitative data. There might be one or two short answers, but it's just a piece of the semi-annual report. These are the due dates for the progress reports for both semi-annual and quarterly for the duration of the 2-year project. And you'll see that I've highlighted in red here. For those of you who have fully executed contracts, you know that I've sent over an email that you have to send over an expedited semi-annual report, even though it's passed. So just wanted to reiterate that once you get a fully executed contract, you will receive an email from me asking your organization to complete this. Even though your numbers may be zero, there are some open-ended programmatic questions about contact information, about eligibility processes that we would like to hear about. We do ask that you submit that along with your invoice within 5 days of your executed contract. And all that information will be sent in email once that contract is signed. It shouldn't take too long based on other organizations who have completed this expedited September 10th semi-annual report. It shouldn't take more than 15 to 30 minutes. And again, you'll have a copy of these slides, and then I'll also show you where to access this document if you want to print out these progress report due dates since they're so important. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the big bulk of our training today is actually the instructions for submitting the reports on Smartsheet and also the participant um, data. So this is the home page of Smartsheet, and I'm going to, in a second, switch over out of PowerPoint and then open up the portal. Just wanted to note that there are a lot of instructions on this first page, the introduction, some planning reporting forms, reminders, and 3 clicks to start. So I'm going to go over those slowly. So just give me one moment to exit out of here. Okay. So once you click on the Smartsheet, and actually I see a question that I'm able to answer from the chat box. So yeah, the due date, it's due 20 days before the end of each reporting period because we do recognize that, and it's because we would need some time to report back to our funder CDSS, the state. So we understand that it is 20 days before the actual end of the reporting period. So in that case, oops, sorry, where did mine? I think I exited out of it. Give me one second. Stop share real quick.
And I'll just say a little bit more about that. Thank you, Mira. That's a good question. As Debbie mentioned, we have our reporting deadline to CDSS and our funder, which kind of overlaps the same period. So we need to get as much information as possible so that we can submit on time. And we just ask if you're not sure of the numbers that are going to occur between these 20 days, within these 20 days, we just ask that you estimate those, and then we'll update as time goes on. So thank you for that.
Yes. Can you still hear me, Dr. Marta?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
wonderful. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to share. Yeah, so right here, yeah, the due date, yeah, is just to estimate those numbers. Okay, let me go ahead and return back to the Smartsheet portal. Here we are. Okay, and is that viewable? I just wanted to double check because I've
Yes, thank
switched.
you.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, so this is I'm in the Smartsheet link. It's going to look exactly like this when you click on the link. And make sure you scroll down. So you're going to see first like these two like very short pages. Okay, so let me go over these four important instructions. So again, as Dr. Marta has shared, the purpose of the progress report, whether they're semi-annual or quarterly, it's really designed to help all of us understand and our stakeholders how all of your work has impacted refugee students and families in your respective regions. This reporting period here will always be pre-populated for us. And right now it's April 1 to September 30th because that is the reporting period um, uh, that we would need the report for. And so we'll change this when December comes, when the quarterly report is due. So this will always be pre-populated by us. What we do with the data from all of our awardees is that we pull that like all together. It's pulled together anonymously, and we send a report to our funder, California Department of Social Services. Okay, I'm going to move on to assistance here. So there are four forms here. These do not need to be submitted to us. So I just wanted to really point that out. These are really for planning and preparation for reporting so that you have a roadmap and checklist to be ready to report on data when semi-annual and quarterly report due days come up. I'm going to go ahead and click on, this one looks like it's not opening. That's fine because I have a screenshot of it here. So so there's four links. On the first form, it's titled as a semi-annual progress report template. So you can consider this as like the hard copy version of the report that's outside of Smartsheet. So you're welcome to save this as a virtual copy on your computer, or you can print it out for your team. But it basically has all the questions that you will need to answer. So if you want to keep this handy throughout the year so that you know what you'll be tracking, this is like your blueprint for that. The second form is the quarterly progress report template. So it's the same concept. It is the blueprint for the quarterly progress report, which is shorter, and it's just a slice of the semi-annual report. Again, these do not need to be submitted to us. This is really optional for you to use if you want a hard copy version of it, so you know exactly what you'll need to report on. And for some folks who already use Smartsheet, they say that they populate this with all their numbers and they literally just copy and paste it over into Smartsheet. And if they have all the data there, it usually takes them 15 minutes to complete the report if they have it already on this hard copy. The third form there is called key terms, definitions, and progress report due dates. So this, you can think of it as like a mini glossary of terms if you just want to double check that you're interpreting the questions correctly. But again, you're always free to email us and call us if you have any questions, but we wanted to give this as a tool to help you. And this is also where those report due dates can be found, and if you want to print them out. And then the last form here, again, does not need to be submitted to us. It's a progress report submission checklist. If you're a person like me and I'm using a new system, a program, or software, and I'm submitting a report, I just want to make sure I got all my bases covered. This can help staff just feel confident. Okay, I've done this, I've done this. If you don't use this checklist at all and you just use the link, you're going to be fine as well. Um, but this is just an kind of just an extra tool if you want to be able to check things off. Okay, let me go ahead and exit out of the PowerPoint and go back to Smartsheet. So those four forms can be downloaded from here. And again, our telephone, we're very accessible. Our my telephone number and our email is posted there. Okay, so a big reminder when submitting reports. So all of the required information has to be entered in one sitting in order for the report to be successfully submitted online through Smartsheet. So your responses are not like saved really until you hit submit. So I wouldn't advise putting in some things and then leaving your computer because the next morning it's likely not going to be there. You have to really designate like time and have all your data, enter it all in, and then once you click submit, that is when the report is submitted, and then you'll get a confirmation note. And then just to let you know, most of the responses are being it's like an application. You're typing in numbers and text, and we'll be attaching an invoice. Okay, so there's three clicks to start for you to be able to see all the questions you need. So for today's purposes, I'm going to go over the semi-annual report because the quarterly report includes a subset of that. So in order for you to see the questions for the report, you're going to first click on either one of these. So I'm just going to click on semi-annual, and then it's going to ask what funds your organization is receiving. And so for training purposes, I'm just going to click on RC. And then after that, you're going to click the reporting period for which the report is due for. It's always going to be pre-populated, so you're just going to click there. So once you do those three clicks, semi-annual, quarterly, what funds you're receiving, and the reporting period, you'll see that all of the questions that you will need to complete for report, I know it looks really long, but we'll go through it, appear. if I had clicked on a quarterly, it'll just be a subset, but I'm going to go through the semi-annual because it's more comprehensive. The first section here is pretty self-explanatory. It's going to ask for your organization and designee names, accounting, invoice, personnel. Any break dates, like if there's a season where your organization may be out of office, please put that down and who we could contact during this time. And then the date when you're submitted it and the signature. Okay, I'm just checking the chat box if there's any questions. This is this viewable? Did you want me to enlarge it or is this a good size? Just wanted to double check. Is that a
I
good size, Dr. Marto?
I think it's fine for now. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to
I
zoom
can
in. Okay, I don't want to zoom too close like last time. Okay, so this is a table of contents of what's in the report. It's lettered from A to H, and you'll see that most of it is highlighted in blue and two are highlighted in red. So anything that is highlighted in blue, and I know this is going to get a little bit confusing, but um, hopefully this makes it a bit easier. Anything that's highlighted in blue denotes that you're reporting data for the actual reporting period. But these two items here, because the way that we report to our funder, these total numbers are to the federal fiscal year, which is right now would be October 1, 2023 to September 30. And we recognize that you guys didn't have contracts then, weren't serving folks in 2023. So, but that's the reporting period. So if it's zero, then that's what you would put zero. Um, so the first section here, it's about program staff. And then section B will be about program implementation progress and accomplishments. We have a few questions about eligibility verification and participant data and meetings attended. We acknowledge that a lot of these questions have already been asked on your narrative and your work plan during the application process, but we are required by our funder, the state, to re-ask these questions during the semi-annual progress report. In case anything has changed, if these processes are the same, then if you could reiterate it kindly, please, on the report. We will go over the program participation total, which has to be uh, entered for the federal fiscal year, and that's why that's highlighted in red. Okay, so I'm going to go through each section here. I'm actually going to pretend that I'm submitting a report, so I'll just be putting some pretend text. So this is section A. We're asking about program staff to list existing personnel supporting the program. And if they were hired using funds for RC and or ERC, you're going to list their names, titles, roles, and dates of hire. So I'm just going to put pretend text right there for now. So that one's quick. So section B, there's three questions. They are open-ended questions. So here we want to know, based on your work plan, during this reporting period, if you can summarize any of the services activities that were implemented, again, during this reporting period, and if you can organize this description using the categories outlined below as applicable to your work plan. So if on your work plan, that you have approved with PHI, SURA, you will be implementing connection for basic needs support and family engagement, empowerment, and school enrollment support. You would place that here. But if youth engagement and development is not applicable to you, then you would just disregard that. But we just want to know, based on your reference, your work plan, if you can summarize those activities implemented using these categories below. We'd also like to know, from implementing those services and activities, the challenges and your learning experiences, and then any success stories. So I'm just going to put pretend text there for now because I want to show you how it looks like when we submit it and you get a confirmation note. Okay, I know it looks long, but it's going by fast. So section C, there's only one question here. If you can reiterate your process for determining eligibility. So who does it? Where is it done? Is it virtual? Is it in person? How is the outreach, conducted? And we want to know, how do you manage the documentation for that? Is that sent to you by the participant? Where is it stored? How is it kept secure? So it's kind of a two-part question. And I'm putting pretend text there. So moving on to section D. So we have until section H. So this one is just an attestation. We're asking you if you can kindly attest that your organization is again securely collecting and storing the individual data using the Smartsheet platform, and that any other data management systems you're utilizing outside of Smartsheet are also adhering to those kind of security standards that we talked about. This is section E. We'd like to know any of the PHI Sura meetings that you attended, again, just during the reporting period. And these can include an orientation that many of you attended in September 27. They could be technical assistance meetings like this, webinars that are hosted by our refugee health support team. It could be office hours. It could be our community practice meetings, the conference or other. So I'm going to put some pretend numbers here. Let's pretend that you went to the 927 meeting. We can count this one. We don't have office hours yet, so we're going to put 0 and say you've been at our CPAC meetings. Let's put 3. And then the conference hasn't happened, and we'll just put 0 there. Okay, just checking the chat box. Okay, we're almost there. See, 2 more sections, F and G. Okay, so we're switching over. So now you see kind of the red and the highlights. So any questions for section F and G will be the data needs to be entered based on the federal fiscal year. So this one currently for the September 10th due date, you're entering numbers from October 1, 2023 to September 30, 2024. At this stage, we're very aware that many organizations have 0 participants, so this is going to be 0 for many of you. But for those of you who were able to implement services and activities early on because you were able to, it still needs to just follow this federal fiscal year. The 2 highlighted items here is we want to ensure that you're also only including the numbers of participants, whether they're students and family members. Those are 2 types of participants who have already been verified for RC or RC eligibility and whose verification documented already has been collected. So we just wanted to highlight this in case you're doing, outreach at an event, say at a back to school night, and say 40 family members were outreached to as potential eligible, and next week you were able to verify eligibility for, say, 10 ERC participants. You can only count those. So it wouldn't be the full pool of folk. It has to be those that already have been verified for eligibility, whose documentation you have by the end of the reporting period. And not the reporting period, fiscal year, sorry, the federal fiscal year. And then also want to make sure that you're only including the number of non-duplicated participants, whether they're student, family member, and staff, and I'll talk about that in a bit. So this means that you can only count a participant once, regardless of how many times and types of service activity categories they access throughout the project timeframe. So say participant A, Mary Smith stayed in the program for the full 2 years and accessed school enrollment support services and basic needs support, 10 times per year. That participant is counted only once. And that goes the same for the family member participant. If they received a slew of services under family engagement and empowerment and basic needs support, that family member participant is counted only once. I do see a question on the chat box. Eligibility documents, if they were sent to us or collected in person, can they virtually be sent to us, or do they have to be collected in person? I don't think, Dr. Marta, that
So
I
I'm
it's okay, right? Either way.
yes, I'm glad to answer. Thank you. Yes, they can be collected electronically. What we require is that you have a copy of that electronic picture or yeah, it'll most likely be a PDF, something like that, or a picture that someone might take and send to you. You would need to maintain that in a case file, and then you could also upload it directly into Smartsheet, which we'll talk about later. But they can be collected virtually. That's not a problem. I
Yeah,
hope
that's
there's a question.
That's a great question. Yes. And Harshi will go over the steps for the participant data collection and show you where you can attach that there shortly because I'm almost done in this section. We're almost there on this pretend. Okay, so just to reiterate, so only verified folks can be counted as non and they can have to be non-duplicated participants for them to be entered here for total. So we want to know the total students. So for the federal fiscal year, so I'm going to go ahead and put some pretend numbers. So for federal fiscal year, October 1, 2023 to September 30th, let's just put zero for now, because that's what you'll probably be putting for your expedited report and invoice due to us. Okay, so you're going to have the total numbers here for students, for family members, and for adults, and we're referring adults as parents here. I mentioned that staff at times can be included as participants if they participated in any type of capacity building activities, including any participation in these meetings and other professional development or um, collaborative kind of learning spaces that they may be part of. You would count the staff in and even if you have families and students who are part of like advisory groups or a part of that capacity building to put it under that category. And I'll show you that right here. So in this section G, we are still asking about the totals here, but organized by service activity and other demographics. So say, for instance, your organization on your approved work plan, you are set to do the first three categories: connection for basic needs support, family engagement empowerment, and youth engagement development. Once you click these three, and say you're also you've chosen to participate in capacity support activities. Once you click those, these will kind of cascade down for each of these categories. They will ask of the total students, family members, and staff served, how many access received these types of services under this category. And then you would just put the total numbers there. So I'm just going to put zero here for now, just so you could see it. And here's family engagement and empowerment. And again, it's asking you again the number of non-duplicated verified student participants and family members. I'm just putting zero for now. And I'll put zero here for now, but just don't, for the expedite reports coming, I think this is probably one that will have a number because many of you have attended this technical assistance training, the CBO orientation, um, potentially CPAG meetings. So if your staff are participating in those, please put the number of the staff volunteers here. So I'm just going to put 4 as an example here. The next questions include demographics. So I'm going to kind of zoom through this just for sake of time so I can show you how this is submitted. It's going to ask you from this total number of non-duplicated students that you reported above. We're going to ask about their gender identity and how many reported um, identifying as male, female, non-binary, and other. So I'm just going to put zero here for now. We're also going to ask a breakdown by grade level. So I'm just going to put zero for now. We also ask to separate that total number for the non-duplicated students of their arrival time. I'm just going to put zero for now. This is about students who successfully promoted to the next grade level. We're also going to ask how many students and parents from the ones that you reported above, how many of those completed a formal orientation. So again, we're always asking about your non-duplicated, already verified RC or RC participants. We're asking about the top five preferred languages. And these might not apply yet because this is about comparison of service availability and any changes in number over the year. So this definitely might not be applicable because it's too early on. The last section here, if you can upload your invoice and then check this box. So that is um, the final field there. So I'm just going to pretend I forgot to put something there. And I'm going to click submit. I'm going to show you what happens. So all of the fields are required. So if it's not applicable or you still need to put not applicable or zero there. So you'll get this red mark. Um, and I'm just going to click an organization name there as an example. I'm just going to put some pretend text here because I did it earlier. So it show you exactly where you're missing information. And then I'll put my name. Okay, and where else did I miss information? I know on the bottom. Scroll down right here. Oh, and I actually have to attach something. So I'm going to pretend that's my invoice. And I'm going to click here because I want a copy of my responses. Okay, and then I'm going to click submit. Oh gosh, cars. And if I did that right. Okay. Okay. Can you guys all see the confirmation note? Okay, wonderful. So forgot to mention, you need to enter this information. If you're an organization that has both RC and ERC funds, you need to do the report separately. So one submission for RC and one submission for ERC. And then after this, after you click here, we don't have it built in yet. So let me go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint. Give me 1 second. That is the main part of the semi-annual report. And you guys are able to see my PowerPoint right now, correct? Okay, great. It looks like it's blacked out. Give me 1 second. Did it the screen black out for you all?
Yes.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna stop sharing real quick. Um also can't let's see. Okay, let me try that again. Okay, has my PowerPoint slides reappeared yet?
Yes, they look great.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. So you'll after that main part of this semi-annual report, there is a second link, and this is just for the semi-annual report, and this is why we mean it's called a long. We know it's a very long report. There'll be a separate link where you will need to enter in the total sums from the participant assessment questionnaire. And what that is, and we'll provide all of this information after the training. It's an 18 question participant form. No, it sounds long, but it's mostly multiple choice and maybe like one or two open-ended questions that we ask you to administer this to your participants 1 month before the semi-annual report due dates. And the purpose of the assessment questionnaire is really to get like self-reported, perceived outcomes from their point of view. And some of the areas that we're asking about, it's perceived improvement in navigating, the healthcare and other social services systems, understanding and knowledge of English. Is there a reduction in barriers? And other questions about service utilization. We have these available in English, Dari Pashto, Ukrainian, and Russian. We'll provide this for you so you can administer these 1 month before the semi-annual report due date. And let me just show you how that would look. So you're only going to administer this to participants wherever they are in the program. Um, So say the so this one it's not going to be applicable because it's too early, so you're not going to administer this questionnaire to your participants anytime soon. But for the next semi-annual progress report, which is due March 10, 2025, we ask you about a month to go ahead and administer it to your participants so you have time to collect the data and report those total sums via Smartsheet. And how it will look like, it's going to look very similar to the Smartsheet reporting a portal, except that this one will be titled the Semi-Annual Participant Assessment Sums. And this is just a sneak peek. Say, for example, from question 3 on that report, we only want the total sum numbers. So for this specific question on the assessment questionnaire, have the barriers you face in accessing basic needs reduced since participating in the program? We want to know the total number of participants who reported yes, no, they don't know, or they refused to respond. So again, we only want the total numbers for each of those questions. So we ask that you tally all of it so that you can enter in those total sums on this part of the report. Okay, I know we're still in part B. What we just did is we went through the instruction for submitting a semi-annual report, the long report on Smartsheet. So that is the first use for Smartsheet. I'm happy now to hand it over to Harshi, who we're going to shift gears here so she can show you the instructions for how to collect participant data and store that onto Smartsheet as well.
Thank you so much, Debbie. And I know that there's more Smartsheet information. I'm sorry, but this will be pretty quick. This is just essentially to help you understand and understand what you'll be collecting and how you'll be collecting it, where you'll be collecting it. So we will be providing you a licensed user access to having your own Smartsheet folder and your Smartsheet spreadsheet where you'll be collecting individual participant data for each participant in your program. And you'll be receiving this once your contract is fully executed. This will be given only authorized sub-grantees should be having access to this Smartsheet because it will be containing highly confidential data and it shouldn't be shared with really anyone other than the people who will be working on that Smartsheet and putting any data and the person who has access to it, except when if you're under audit or during site visits, you can just pull it up and we will take a look at it. But other than that, you should not be giving access to this to anybody. I'm gonna go over what just kind of quickly what will be there, and then I want to kind of do a live demonstration of what inputting that would look like so that it feels a bit more accessible once you get your access to the Smartsheet. So some of what you'll be collecting will be the participant name, their status, their alien number, and if you have any way to identify them, a unique ID that you give them, you can put that there as well. Again, as you see, there's highly sensitive data, and which is why we ask that you don't share this with anyone, such as their entry status, where they're from, their country of origin, their gender, their date of arrival, etc. We also have their eligibility, whether or not you were provided with eligibility documentation and just staff members, one of your staff member attests that they have received it. We will also be giving out, or we will also be requiring that you check that you give them information on what data will be collected from them so that they're made aware of that. And again, attestation for that. We also ask that you have entry and exit dates, and the type of program that they're participating in. These slides will again be available after, and also we'll be providing sort of detailed information on this after as well. I know it can be a lot, but don't worry about all of that. We'll provide more information as well. Debbie, if you could open the Smartsheet and I will sort of go over that quickly. This the program services and activities by category will also be on there. It's just whether or not you're providing this service and what dates you provided them, which date each participant accessed these services.
Okay,
That,
just I'm going to stop sharing here real quick and then
Mhm.
pull up.
Yes,
Okay,
I know that was I went through that really quickly, but I think when I go over it with the smart sheet in front of me, it'll be fairly digestible. I hope so. And I know it's a lot, but it's pretty easy, and I think you'll be able to. I also recommend that once you get access to this, you sort of look around and click on it as you before you even start collecting the data or before you input any data, just to sort of get an understanding of what it looks like while you're physically on the smart sheet. So this is what it will look like. You will be given, we will make this for you and send it over so that you don't have to worry about all the formulas and everything. I also have 3 entries just so that you see what it looks like. I'm going to go over each one of them really quickly. So as you see, you have the information in the pinkish red is just about, this part is the item that we think is highly sensitive, but all of this is highly sensitive. So just be aware of that. It's the alien number, the participant name, the status. As you can see, Miss Taylor Swift as a student, is receiving services at your CBO as a student. And so a lot of these have drop-down menus. So participant status, you can drop down, click what type of participant they are. And then moving over to entry status, this is also as a drop-down. You are able to click what their entry status is. And if it's not, you put in the next column, you would put in what their entry status is, their country of origin, and if it's not the ones that we've listed in the drop down, you'll have the ability to do that, their gender, their date of birth, their grade level, their date of arrival, participant, whether or not they've been here for more than 12 months. And then the informational handout, which I mentioned, is it's whether or not they were made aware of the data that they'll be collecting and whether or not they've affirmed that they've understood that. And then your staff member, employee of the month, Britney Spears, collected that information. And so she attests to that right there. And also collecting the eligibility for that. Actually, Debbie, if you can go all the way back to the beginning, I want to show a way that you can actually document the actual eligibility on there. As you can see, there's a little bit of there's a attachment icon. If you click on that, you'll have the ability. I put in a little image of a passport because I was having fun. You can add an image, you can add a PDF, you can add any type of a file. And it's as simple as like a couple of clicks, as Debbie just showed. So you can document that there. You don't have to, but if it's better to have everything in one area. So yeah, that's just a quick little sidebar. And then which program that they're in. So if it's RC, S2S, or ERC, they have the ability to do that. You have the ability to put that in there, and then the dates that they've entered into the program. I've just put 2 random dates, unless you really are servicing Taylor Swift, which will be really cool. And program activities. So this is the one where you put in whether or not they've received or they've attended that and received services and what dates that they've received it. So as you can click open it and then add all of the dates that they've access to these services, and it goes on for as many services that you provide. And if you don't, you can just click no and then leave blank. I can also do what it looks like when you are providing services for staff members. If you are participating in the last category, which is which is providing services for staff members and capacity, that you would leave a lot of the sort of spaces here blank because they're staff members, so a lot of this isn't applicable. You can just gray it out. You can leave it empty. Up to you. All of that would essentially be blank, and then you would just put in when they've accessed that service. As you can see right there, and then you would just put yes, and that is if that is part of your work plan. Also wanted to quickly show what it looks like for a family member. It's pretty much the same as a student, except you would obviously click the family member one, and then you would make sure that when you are putting in the eligibility, you would put in that it is a student, that it is that they are the relative of a student, and that you received the eligibility of that student as well, and then what that looks like. I know I went through that pretty quickly, but once you get onto the Smartsheet and start looking around and reading through everything, hopefully it'll become easier. But if there are any other questions, you can always reach out to us over at the MER team, and we would be happy to walk you through anything. We will also be providing a bit more of details along when we provide the licenses for you, so that you're not opening that Smartsheet blind. I know what that feels like. So yeah, that's about what I have for the Smartsheet for individual or participant data collection. I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, or I'm going to turn it over to Debbie actually for the Q&A or any questions that you might have.
Yeah, thank you so much, Harshi, for that component, for the second use for Smartsheet. Everyone, we know that this is a lot of information. We acknowledge, could feel a bit overwhelming, but as mentioned, we're here to support you in the process. And based on other, awardees who have used this before, it just seemed a little daunting, like from the training today. But once you're on the platforms for reporting and data collection and get a feel for it feels much more accessible and usable. So we just wanted to assure you that it's pretty user friendly, and then we're friendly as well as human beings. And so we're here to support and help you in this process. So at this time, we have really we're perfect on time. It is 12:05, and we have 25 minutes that I wrote down for Q&A and announcements. So just wanted to open it up for questions. You could raise your hand, say it out loud, or put in the chat box. So there is a question about if it is required that wasn't cleared for Smartsheet for the participant, the individual level um, data. And the reason that we ask that it is a required uh, piece um, in working with us is it really helps streamline that in the event that PHI or CDSS does an audit and needs access to these files. It makes it a very seamless process if everyone has the Smartsheet and all the information is gathered in one place for them to have access to that. So at this time, yes, we're asking that this is a requirement to use Smartsheet for the participant level, the individual level data.
And regarding the question about when does the data need to be entered, it's really up to your team, but it would be easier if you do that more consistently after services are implemented. In the case that there's ad hoc requests for data to be submitted to us and then back to our funder, we suggest that you do that, frequently and consistently just to make it easier on your team.
So a question, I'm not sure if I can answer this, but I will try. For the participant level data, is it required to be entered for the family member? I don't think so because it's based on the student's eligibility. So it's only the student participant that we would need the alien number for. And it looks like Dr. Marta agrees. So no, we don't need the alien number, right, for the family member and of course any other staff participants for sure.
I can take the next question about the contract. This is from Mohammed. Last week I heard the contract is ready. I'm not sure who you heard that from, but if you just want to tell me your organization, I can look into the status of your contract and let you know where what the status is. Does that help? Okay, I will. I have not seen that went out, but I know it's being prepared. So if you don't hear anything in a week, reach out to me. You know how to reach me.
Thank you, Susan. Appreciate it.
Sure.
There is a question about eligibility. If the participant is an asylum case, which kind of documents do we need from them? I
That
don't, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Debbie. That documentation is outlined in the agreement with PHI. So there are lots of details around what documents serve as eligibility documentation. Um, as far as an asylum case in particular, I will have to look into that to see if that's outlined. If not, we will get those answers for you. So actually, if you don't mind emailing us at the email that is directly on the screen, I'm glad to look into that if that information has not been shared already.
Great. And then there's a question about the Smartsheet license. So who will have access to the license? And so will it be staff who are working with the clients will input the data using Smartsheet or inputting it into the back end of Smartsheet? So we will coordinate individually with you as sub-grantees to provide the license. So there'll likely be like one person who's like this, like the administrator. And then we'll ask you whoever would be in charge and lead of entering the data, whether it's you as the same person as the system administrator or other folks who and we could also change the level of access. So there'll be people who will be able to enter information, and there's also different levels, people who are unable to edit but can also to view it. So we'll work with you. You'll actually let us know who you would want to have access, whoever's in charge of entering the participant data into Smartsheet. Does that answer your question, Basit?
Oh, yes, it does. But I did have another question. There's
Sure.
like a Smartsheet form, like you can enter data in like a form, like instead of putting it into like the actual cells. Is that possible?
Right now, it's not built that way as you saw because it looks like just entering on the back end. But we can since we have individual folders, we can experiment that with your folder and see if you like that version better. How does that sound?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, and just to let you know, each of the smart sheet that sheet will be tailored to your organization, meaning if your approved work plan is only for school enrollment support and say family engagement and empowerment, you will only see those categories. So you won't see the other ones that are not part of your approved work plan. Okay, so we'll take note of that on our action items to uh, check back with you. And am I pronouncing your name correctly?
That's it. Yes.
Basit. Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Mhm.
we'll see how that can look like for you. And then the other question here is, I saw one. Yeah, do we need to add the family members or parents in the smart sheet if we provide services for them. Yes, for the participant data collection, a family member, if you're providing services for them with this funding, they are considered a family member participant. Also, just making sure I haven't missed anything. Okay, thank you, Tina. I think a lot of it more answered via the chat box. I'm going to try to send the spreadsheet link tomorrow. There are some updates I'd like to we made some changes to the portal to make it easier, and there's some back end forms honestly that I'd like to fix before sending it over. So if I can't get it by tomorrow, early early next week. So I will try my best as soon as possible. The participant assessment questionnaire, we can send that right away. We have those handy. There's a great question about is there any options in the Smartsheet for organizations to correct errors uh, in entering data? Um, for reporting purposes, once you submit, you can't go back, but you can email me and let me know, and I can correct it for you. For when you're submitting a quarterly or semi-annual report. If your question is about the data participant sheet, yeah, you have full ownership of that. Once you enter something, you can edit it like any document live. And did that answer your question regarding Zabihula, regarding making corrections on Smartsheet? Want to make sure that I addressed it.
No, yeah, we needed both information on the data that will be entered by our that we serve the clients as well as for the reporting. Thank you for the information and answer.
Yeah, for the reporting, I know I wish there was right now there isn't, but when we're reviewing the reports, we're definitely reaching out to you to correct them, but we could do it on our end. Mhm. Did just wanted to make sure, team, if there's any other or questions I might have missed in the chat box or anyone, feel free to raise your hand and ask out loud. Okay. Um, if there are no, so I just a note before I hand it over to Sarah for announcements. When we send over the PowerPoint, you're going to see slides on Smartsheet that I did not go through because I had it actually live, and these are backup slides, but they're the same. They're snapshots of the sections that I went over. So I just wanted to note that. And I think this is also helpful so that you have a backup in case you want to also kind of retrain or give a refresher for your team. These slides are snapshots of the live walkthrough of Smartsheet. Okay, if there are no further questions at this time, you know how to get a hold of us. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Sarah, who'll do announcements and upcoming activities, and who will close off today's training for us.
Thanks, Debbie. And yeah, just a few announcements should be able to get you all out here pretty quickly and let you have a little bit of extra time. So I know as we had mentioned earlier, we will be having monthly office hours. That date and time is to TBD right now. I know Jasmine and our team had shared in the chat a link to fill out to share your availability. If someone from the CRH team is able to find that and paste it again, that would be great. So that way, if you haven't been able to fill that out yet, you can do that soon so that we can pick a time that works ideally for everybody. And we also, as mentioned, have quarterly communities of practice advisory group meetings. The next one is tentatively scheduled for Thursday, December 12th, and it's 11 to 12:30 Pacific time. And I hope to have that date scheduled or confirmed after the conference And then speaking of the conference, I'm going to put some information with links. And thank you, Harshi, for sharing the form for the office hours. So our conference is in just a couple weeks on Friday, October 25th at UC Davis, the Art Conference Center. If you have not registered yet, I'll be sharing that information in the chat. We are getting close to capacity and they're almost sold out. So if you're having issues registering and are interested, I'll put my email in the chat as well to see what we can do and what we can accommodate. So we're really excited that a lot of you have already registered and are really looking forward to being able to connect with all of you in person in a few weeks. And lastly, we will be scheduling site visits in 2025 to visit you all in person and at your site just to really connect and see what you're doing and be able to offer support in person. So stay tuned for us to schedule that in early 2025. And that's all we have in terms of announcements and upcoming meetings. As a reminder, we will be sharing the slides and recording with all of you. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And we hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day and week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you, team.
Thank you.